Sanjiv, thank you for your time. Can you please tell us slightly about yourself?
Well, Vishal, like you, I'm an aviation nut. I've loved airplanes since I was a kid, built model kits, since I was 6 years old, and I've always wanted to be in this line. So, when I first finished college, I joined a software company for 2 or 3 years, and I hated every second of that. So I went to business school with the express intention of changing careers. And after business school, got into consulting, and very quickly got into airlines, Northwest Airlines, where I did a number of different roles. I went back into consulting. I was with Bain & Company, where I led the aviation practice for Asia and then for Europe, working mainly on turnarounds and strategy and network planning and all of that kind of stuff. And now I'm here at SpiceJet as the Chief Operating Officer since November 2013, and it's been a very, very interesting year and a half.
Fantastic. You talk about interesting. So, we've noticed that you've been with airlines across the globe. You have
Yeah.
worked with airlines as part of your consulting roles also. So, how would you compare that experience with your experience at SpiceJet?
Every experience is different, but there's certain things in common. I mean, at the end of the day, every airline wants to maximize its revenues or minimize its costs, and have something different to offer to its customers, and basically, survive and prosper. The one airline which I didn't directly work with, but which was a Bain client before my time, which I think it comes closest to what SpiceJet has gone through and is going through, is Continental. In the early 90s, 93, 94, Continental had almost run out of money. And then was two investors got into it. Actually, one investor, TPG, what became TPG, Texas Pacific Group. And Bain was hired to help them turn the airline around, and it's become a Harvard case study now. And if you read what they did to the airline to turn it around, that's almost a Bible which I try to follow in the year and a half I've been here. A lot of it was fix the basics, don't get overcomplicated, make things simple, keep things simple. And very importantly, take care of the soft and the people aspect. Take care of your staff, they will take care of the customers who in turn take care of you. And that mantra is what I've been following a lot. Of course, there's a lot more to it than that. You have to take out costs relentlessly, you have to be ruthless in your network, and you need to be very clear in your positioning and your branding. But at the end of the day, it's a people business. And if your frontline, your staff, your head office, if they're not committed, it's not going to work. So I think that lesson from Continental and the experience that Continental went through eventually became one of the most successful turnarounds ever, when people had given it up completely. I think SpiceJet went through something like that in December, when a lot of people had given it up, saying that they're going through such a crisis, they suspended flights for half a day, that it's not coming back, but it's coming back strong.
Great. You spoke about Continental.
Yeah.
Are there any other aviation brands that inspire you, that fascinate you, and any that you would want SpiceJet to be inspired by?
Well, there are many brands in aviation that have done exceedingly well. So, going back to historical times, I think if you look at Pan Am and TWA, they were iconic brands. More recent times, I think I'm a big admirer of how JetBlue has positioned itself and branded itself. Southwest, of course, granddaddy, but I think we're a little bit different. Southwest is more like ultra LCC. And in India, we believe that an ultra LCC model has some limitation because the cost structure is very high, intrinsically in India. And AirAsia, I've been a big admirer of AirAsia, especially before they came into India, but now it's good competition. But I think they've done a fantastic job in the branding and the positioning. And there's certain airlines who I think have taken it too far, I won't name them, who've made the branding and a bit too tacky, a bit too childish in some senses, I won't go into more details. So we want to stay away from that. So we want to pick from the best. In the non-aviation world, I think there are two personalities which are brands in themselves: Steve Jobs and John Lennon. Steve Jobs said, "Think different," right? And that's what we do. And John Lennon, I think, also thought different. He was actually, in some ways, he was Steve Jobs' twin, right? And challenging the status quo and just provoking people to think different. But John Lennon said something that really, rings true. He said, "Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans." And I think nothing could be truer than what happened to SpiceJet in the last few months, when we had everything lined up and we were heading in the right direction, and when the funding didn't come through on time, and then we had to change our plans. But I think you know, the key thing about SpiceJet and why I admire these guys is that they don't conform to stereotypes. They don't conform to what is always done and therefore you must toe the line. They break the mold, and they want to do things, you know, their own way, and they want to think outside the box. And I think SpiceJet in the last 1 year has, starting from the holy dance to fair sales to branding, positioning, putting you know, a crew on our aircraft, has really, you know, thought different and has broken the mold, and I think has fundamentally changed Indian aviation in many respects, from being a sort of conservative, you know, fixed menu pricing kind of environment to a much more dynamic, exciting, you know, passionate environment. So I think that's great.
Alright,
Yeah.
alright. Sanjeev, what's your take on social media, the importance of social media in the aviation business these days?
I think it's very important primarily because that's where people pick up breaking news much more. You know, I don't watch TV from, you know, for instance, myself. I think a lot of the younger generation are not that young. They don't watch TV, etc. So social media is where they get the news on anything.
Right.
So being present there, being visible there, having a personality there, I think is very important. And therefore SpiceJet has its own handle. I've sometimes been a little too active on social media because when we went through crisis, a lot of people were accusing us of many things. Oh, you know, they've shut down operations in Chennai was one rumor. Or they've done this, they've done that. I went on social media just to counter the rumors and to actually state the facts. I'm dialing back a little bit on that now because we're past that stage, but I think it's a great way also to get a pulse of the customer, you know, and you can convert those who had a bad experience to huge fans of yours if you respond and make good, fix the problem. And you know, I have a number of people on social media who first contacted me or approached me because they had a problem, and now they swear by us because they couldn't believe that, you know, I personally responded, the airline so proactively took care of the problems, etc. So while the airline business is complex and we can't address every problem on Twitter, I think it's a very good place to get a pulse of the market.